till now we have seen how to write the transformation equations for stress and how to get the principal stresses. Now we'll see a very important class of problems which are known as pressure vessels. So pressure vessels. Now what are pressure vessels? Pressure vessels are those structures which have been built to handle or to store fluids at very high pressure. Um, Obviously, when we talk about fluid, so we know one property of the fluid, which is that the the pressure at any location in the fluid is equal in all directions. So now, suppose for example, if we have, let's say, a hemisphere filled with some fluid, let's say water. So at this particular height or depth, for example, here pressure everywhere will be equal to some number, whatever that number is, but it will be equal everywhere in all directions. So that's the property of pressure of a fluid. Now pressure vessels are primarily of two types. One is the first one is cylindrical, and the second one is spherical. Um, Both the pressure vessels, the cylindrical and the spherical, are used in different conditions. Cylindrical pressure vessels are used to store liquids. Liquids have pressure as increasing along the depth, which means as the depth increases of the fluid, pressure increases. Spherical pressure vessels are better to store the gases at very high pressure, because in gases it doesn't matter, the pressure is equal everywhere. Now let's analyze the first one, which is the cylindrical pressure vessel. Cylindrical cylinder. So how does the cylinder look like? It's has a curved surface and it has two ends which are circles. So let's say that this radius is given by r and the length is given by L. So this cylindrical pressure vessel has, let's say, there is a differential element. So the differential element will be exposed to the stresses which are like this. Sigma L is called longitudinal stress, and sigma H is called hoop or circumferential stress. Now, obviously, we know from the equation of equilibrium of these of the stress element, that sigma hoop is given by PR upon T and sigma L is given by PR upon 2T. These are the numbers for the hoop and circumferential stresses. So circumferential stress is twice the hoop stress. Um, Obviously, yeah, these equations are obtainable from any of the books which of strength of materials. So we'll not go and derive them, but we will just remember them. So the hoop stress is PR upon T and longitudinal stress is PR upon 2T for a cylinder. Now, uh, let us analyze the stress element. The stress element is like this. This is sigma L, which is PR upon 2T, and this is sigma hoop, which is PR upon T. This is hoop, sigma L. Now, obviously, we know from the analysis of transformation of stresses that if this is a condition which is like only normal stress is acting, then the principal stresses are equal to the normal stresses. So principal stress will be equal to, let's say the first principal stress will be equal to PR upon 2T, and the second principal stress will be equal to PR upon T. They are the applied stresses directly. What will be the maximum shear stress in that condition? Maximum shear stress in that condition will be equal to square root of sigma L or sigma H minus sigma L by 2 square, which is nothing but sigma H minus sigma L by 2, that is PR upon T minus PR upon 2T by 2, which is PR upon 4T. So that's the maximum shear stress which occurs in the in the in the stress element or in the cylindrical pressure vessel, and this stress obviously is again 1/2 of the longitudinal stress. So you can remember it in this way: hoop, longitudinal, and shear are each, as you progress from hoop to longitudinal to shear, you divide them by 2. Start with PR upon T, divide by 2 is sigma L, which is PR upon 2T, and then further divide by 2 is PR upon 4T, which is tau max. So that way it's easy to remember the stresses in a cylindrical pressure vessel. Now let's solve a couple of problems and see how they affect us. Now it's easy to see that this case is very easy to remember. The cylindrical pressure vessel without having any other load except the pressure. But let's see what happens if there is another load. If we have another load like this, suppose I have the same thing. I have the pressure vessel and there is a pressure P inside it, but I also subject this pressure vessel to a torque T, some torque, and I say that the value of torque is let's say P into pi r cube. This is the value of torque I am giving. I am providing that number. So how do we find out what is the principal stress, maximum principal stress in this case? Now here we know that sigma H is equal to PR upon T and sigma L is equal to PR upon 2T. But besides this, there is also a shear stress now, which is T upon J multiplied by R, which is nothing but P into pi R cube. J for a thin pressure vessel is like a thin ring, is 2 pi R cube T multiplied by R. So that will be equal to, so this pi R cube gets cancelled. So we have PR upon 2T. That's the shear stress now in the wall, shear in the pressure vessel wall. So now if I take the stress element, it will be like this. This is sigma hoop or sigma L. This is sigma hoop. This is sigma L. This is sigma hoop. And along with that, there will be a shear stress like that, which is PR upon 2T. That is equal to tau. Now if I write the principal stress, that will be equal to sigma L plus sigma H by 2 plus and minus square root of sigma L minus sigma H by 2 square plus tau square. So now what is the value? Sigma L plus sigma H. Sigma L is PR upon 2T plus PR upon T divided by 2 plus and minus square root. This will be sigma L upon 2T minus sigma L, sorry, this is PR upon T and this is PR upon T by 2 square plus PR upon 2T square. So now this will become PR upon T, this will be 3 by 2 PR upon T. So this total is 3 by 4 PR upon T plus minus square root of, this is PR upon 2T minus PR upon T is minus PR upon 2T by 2 is minus PR upon 4T square. So it is PR upon 4T square plus PR upon 2T square. I can take out PR upon 2T from these two terms. So the whole thing becomes 3 by 4 PR upon T plus minus, I take out PR upon 2t square root of, this is 1 upon 2 square, this is 1 upon 4 plus 1. So this becomes 3 by 4 PR upon t plus PR plus minus PR upon 2t square root of 4 plus 1 5 by 2. So the final value is 3 plus square root of 5 by 4 PR upon t. That's the maximum principal stress in the pressure vessel. Obviously, I have another value which is 3 by 4 PR upon T minus square root of 5 by 4 PR upon T. So that is a minimum value. And because square root of 5 is less than 3, so the minimum principal stress is also a positive number. So both the values are positive now. Now, this is the first example problem. In the same example problem, if I do not specify the value of T, if I just leave it as T itself, and I give you the problem saying that figure out the value of torque which needs to be applied such that the minimum principal stress is 0. Now let's see how we can do that. So the same problem I will replicate here. This is a torque like this, and there is a pressure P acting like that, and other parameters are all usual. This is L. Now in this case, now if I have a if I write the equation of hoop, it is PR upon T, longitudinal is PR upon 2T, tau is T upon J into R. J is 2 pi R cube T. So tau is T upon 2 pi R cube T into R, which is T upon 2 pi R square T. Okay, I take a new page here. So I take a problem, the same problem. This is a cylinder, and the radius and thicknesses are R and T only, and there is a torque applied T, and there is a pressure acting on the cylinder. So obviously sigma H or the hoop stress is PR upon T, sigma L is equal to PR upon 2T, and tau, the shear stress, is equal to T upon J into R, where J is a polar moment of inertia of the ring, that because it's a thin pressure vessel, so J value is 2 pi R cube T. So that gives me that value of tau, which is equal to T upon 2 pi R cube T into R. That is nothing but T upon 2 pi R square T. Now if I have this value of shear stress, I write the equation of principal stress, that is equal to sigma L plus sigma H by 2 plus and minus square root of sigma L minus sigma H by 2 square plus tau square. Now this equation, I know from the previous example, this value is 3 by 4 PR upon T plus minus square root of, this is PR upon 4T square plus T upon 2 pi R square T square. Now if I am given the condition that sigma P minimum is equal to 0, which means this minus sign, the term which is 3 by 4 PR upon T minus this square root thing is equal to 0, I can put that here is equal to square root of PR by 4T square plus T upon 2 pi R square T square. I can square the term, so I get 9 by 16 PR upon T is equal to PR upon 4T square plus T upon 2 pi R square T whole square. Now sorry, this is also squared. Now I can take this here, so this becomes 9 by 16 PR upon T whole square minus, I can take 1 upon 4 out from the bracket, it becomes 1 upon 16 PR upon T square is equal to T square by 2 pi R square T whole square. So this is 9 minus 1 is 8 by 16 is 1 upon 2. So 1 by 2 PR upon T square is equal to T square by 2 pi R square T square. So that gives me T square, that is equal to PR upon T square multiplied by 2 pi R square T square upon 2. This 1 upon 2 is this 2. So that gives me T is equal to just square root of this term, PR upon T multiplied by 2 pi R square T upon square root of 2, which is nothing but I remove the T, so it becomes 2 pi R cube P upon square root 2, or it is pi R cube square root of 2. So that is the value of torque if it is applied to the pressure vessel. In that case, the pressure vessel will be will give us a condition that the minimum principal stress will be equal to 0. Now a quick example here itself. In case that instead of torque we apply a bending moment to the cylindrical pressure vessel, in that case the bending moment will not induce any, if it is a pure bending moment, it will not induce any shear force in the, or rather shear stress in the pressure vessel, but it will increase or decrease the hoop and longitudinal stresses respectively. Now this is about the cylindrical pressure vessel. The cylindrical pressure vessels are good, or they are highly used in carrying the and in carrying liquids, because liquids the pressure changes as the height increases or the depth increases. Now let's see the other type of pressure vessel, which is the spherical pressure vessel. So in case of spherical pressure vessel, we have this is a sphere, and it has some thickness, small thickness compared to the radius. This is the thickness T, and this is the radius R, and there is a pressure P acting in the sphere. So in this case, obviously again we know from our experience and from the strength of material books that sigma hoop and sigma longitudinal both are actually equal, and both of them are given by PR upon 2T. That's the condition for the spherical pressure vessel. So when you have such condition, wherein you have the hoop and longitudinal, or basically the sigma x and sigma y. So if I just take a stress element in case of spherical pressure vessel, it will look like this. This is sigma, let's say sigma x, and this is sigma y. So both of them are equal to PR upon 2T. Now a quick question: in such case, what will be the value of the shear stress? Obviously, you go back to the fluid example. Fluid example is same as this one. In fluid, we have both the stresses negative, compressive, and both the values are equal to the pressure. Here, they are just positive, both the values are equal to PR upon 2T. Hence, there is no shear stress in case of spherical pressure vessel, and that makes it a very, very desirable structure. And why is it desirable? Because in absence of shear stress in any direction, the value of stress on the structure is PR upon 2T. So the whole structure carries or resist the load by equal stress in all directions. So it's very easy to design a spherical pressure vessel. Now let us do a very uh, let's do one problem here. Now we know that it is there is no shear stress by the pressure. But suppose we have a problem wherein we have been given a sphere like this, which has a pressure P and R radius and T thickness, and about one of the diametral planes we have a torque T acting like that on the. So assume that you are holding a cricket ball and about the seam you have a torque. So what will be the shear stress now? Now obviously there will be a shear stress and tau will be equal to, in that such case the shear stress will be equal to T upon J into R, where T upon J is nothing but T upon 2 pi R cube T into R, which is T upon 2 pi R square T. So this is the shear stress in that case. Now if you have an induced shear stress because of an applied load from outside, obviously in such condition the stress condition will change in that location, and then you will have some sort of a principal stress changing from PR upon 2T also, because in the previous case we have seen that this is also equal to the principal stresses P1 and P2 both. All the principal stresses are equal to PR upon 2T because that's the only stress which is acting in the structure. But if you have this condition also now, wherein you have an induced shear because of a load applied, then obviously you will have additional stresses. So let's see what will be the additional stress. So in such case the principal stress will be given by sigma 1 plus sigma 2 upon 2 plus minus square root of sigma 1 minus sigma 2 upon 2 square plus tau square. Now here sigma 1 and sigma 2 are equal, so this becomes 0. So this is given by sigma 1 plus sigma 2 upon 2 plus minus tau square, square root of tau square, which is nothing but sigma 1 plus sigma 2 by 2 plus minus tau. Now sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2 is equal to PR upon 2T. So this whole thing is equal to PR upon 2T. So sigma P, the principal stress is PR upon 2T plus minus the shear stress. So that's a very simple equation now. You see, one principal stress simply adds the shear stress to the principal stress value, the other one subtracts it. So you get the two principal stresses simply by adding and subtracting the shear stress portion from the pressure induced stresses, which are PR upon 2T. Now this is again a very important and very good equation to see and remember also, because this equation can be directly used to design the spherical pressure vessel. In such condition, again, if we are supposed to find out, now in this case if we are supposed to find out what is the maximum shear stress, obviously it is equal to tau only, because that's the only applied shear stress. So that will be the shear stress in the structure. This problem can be modified in various ways. For example, we can also request that the shear stress is applied in two mutually perpendicular directions, which means it is applied not only about this direction, but also it is applied about this direction like that, about this diametral plane here. Another shear stress is applied. So all such conditions can be taken into consideration. It's not a very big deal. You just have to add or subtract the amount of shear stress in this equation here. Simply add or subtract that shear stress here. So this is all about the pressure vessels, and in my opinion pressure vessels are very important things to remember, and you practice a lot of problems in pressure vessels because they are always asked in all competitive examinations. Overall, I will suggest that you study this chapter very well. The whole chapter on stress transformations, which includes the transformation equations, principal stresses, maximum shear stresses, pressure vessels, and also the thing which we studied in last time, the examples which we studied in last lecture, which were about the stresses in beams, combined loading of beams. Combined loading may be the bending and direct shear, which happens normally in the bending of beam by point load, as well as loading because of the bending, torsion, and direct shear, all of them, because such problems are very important in practical design conditions. They are heavily used and they occur in reality, in nature, and they are almost always, it has been seen that GATE has at least one or two questions from this chapter, so it's like a given. So like it's like a given thing, you will have it. So please study this chapter very well, especially keep in mind how to get the principal stresses for each case. Please do it rigorously, do not falter anywhere, write the formula correctly and solve it instead of remembering things, because if you remember, the whatever you are remembering may not be the exact condition which is there in the problem which is asked. So please remember the theory very well, and this chapter is very important from theory perspective because it gives you an insight into how transformation is happening, the coordinates are rotating in space, and how the stress transforms because of the rotation of the coordinate system. So these things are theoretically important also, and once you have built your foundation on this well, you can move on to reading the stress analysis of complex objects and theory of elasticity, which is built on these concepts. So please prepare this chapter very well and see all the things which are there, and remember the formulae correctly and remember the derivation of the formulae also, so that you can apply them in any condition which is given.